introduction. Hey guys. I wait a couple seconds and we're gonna go with hey guys now because a lot of times when you start off in these live chats, there's like a couple seconds that gets chopped off by um sorry guys, this drove me crazy. Um Chopped off by StreamYard slash YouTube. So this week I did my homework. So Terry is not the only one that gets to talk this week about the actual lesson. And I'm excited about it because I actually have a MBA in marketing and international economics, as well as my undergrad was in accounting. And my family had a business before I even went back to school doing just in time technology, which relates to Henry Ford. And Fordism is basically what this whole lesson was about. And that's about opening yourself up to serendipity, luck, those kinds of things, that it's not like you had a set path to get to X and nothing bad or different happen along the way. So I'm just going to introduce myself real quick, then let Terry introduce herself, and then we will start talking about the lesson, about reselling. Anybody wants to join in, let us know. We can add you to a, oh my gosh, my dog, I'm talking, so he thinks he needs to be on top of me. Um, so we can talk about how these lessons apply to us as resellers and like where we think we can go from that. So I'm Holly. I am a part of my son's a business, Hunter Ryan, which is a reselling business on Poshmark, Mercari, and eBay. He doesn't want to do the social media stuff, so that's what I get to do. And, I do some of the other stuff, kind of more as therapy to get me out of bed, which y'all are seeing me in bed right now because it's been a bad couple days. So, and Terry, who has been our master student through the process so far, is going to introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Terry from terrysfinds.com, and I am at Terry's_finds on Poshmark and Terry Finds on YouTube. So everything's Terry's Finds.
Yeah.
I find it, I list it.
Hey, that's the way to do it, right?
Yeah. So it's been me and Holly and a couple other people the last couple of weeks doing this course on Future Learn that Holly turned us all on to. And it's a great course. It is, I'm trying to remember the name of the course now, Innovation and something.
It's Unlease Your Potential, Innovation and Enterprise.
There we go. See, I have it on my phone, but it's kind of like cut off. So yeah, it's been quite interesting to see the different things that they've taught you in the first week and the second week, which the second week was problems and or issues, as I like to call them. And now we're into the innovation part, which is really cool. So
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this week's lesson, and it didn't seem to
Oh, yeah.
be as long as last week's.
Yeah. Hey, Barbara, welcome. We're just doing our introductions and getting ready to talk about this week's innovation lesson. Barbara, do you want to join us online? Like visually? She'll do it with me, but then she thinks that she sounds weird, but I think she would be a great voice, especially on this lesson. Um, because what we're talking about this week is those accidental chance encounter things. Like, as I was reading the first part of it, like one of the easy or two of the easy go to like ideas of um, those chance serendipity kind of things happening
Yeah.
to move forward innovation that I immediately thought of is Nestle Toll House cookies and Band-Aids. So Nestle Toll House cookies was basically born out of laziness. Um, the creator, she had a little bed and breakfast called Toll House, And one day it was, she was trying to make um like a chocolate cookie. So it's like, a pan kind of brownie cookie kind of thing. And she didn't want to take the time to melt the chocolate. So she thought if I just chunk it up and then throw it in with the batter, then it'll melt in there and I'll make it a chocolate cookie. Well, it didn't melt it all the way. So that's where the idea of those bar cookies with chunks of chocolate became Nestle Toll House cookies, chocolate, the basis for chocolate chips, and all of that. And so, born out of laziness, yay, we have cookies. And then the other one was out of accidents, like as in a real, actual accidents. There was a gentleman whose wife was very accident prone, and she was constantly cutting herself or injuring herself, and she couldn't put bandages on by herself. So what he started doing is he would take the gauze and stick medical tape, which was used back then, the kind of tape that would adhere it. So he put that onto the little pads, and then he used the the side of wax paper that's like waxy, so it doesn't stick to it completely. And so he made up these pre-done dressings for his wife, that if something happened while he was gone, she would easily be able to just pull that off and kind of roll it onto wherever her wound was. So there's like an accidental creation and a laziness creation, two of my favorite. So what were ones that you thought of, Terry?
You're gonna you're gonna like this one, Holly. I thought
Okay,
of you.
let me guess. The dust bags.
That was one of them. Yes. The other was your inventory system on how many times you had gone through it. So
Oh
it's
yeah,
like they said there's no linear line from like A to
exactly,
D, right? So you don't just
exactly.
go A, B, C, D,
Yeah,
and get your answer. You can go A, B, C, and
yeah,
D.
exactly. And you can even go A to C and then back to B. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
yeah, definitely. That is a huge part of innovation, is being able to say where I'm headed right now isn't going to work for me in the growth I do. So for me, like my system, I think it was really good, but having 700 items dumped into it kind of threw me off, especially when of those 700 items, things were missing or put somewhere else that I don't know where they were or how to find them because they were from someone else's stuff. So that added to my need to redo some, to do some auditing. And if I'm already going to go through an audit, if everything's there, I might as well go ahead and do the measurements, because people keep saying they won't buy from people if they don't have measurements. And I invariably have people at 1 and 3 o'clock in the morning wanting measurements. I'm just like, I must sleep. But, so, and then I was bringing in the idea of the tote scan, which I think was amazing because it's like probably the cheapest inventory system you can have as a backup to, either using your inventory from the sites that you list on, coupled with, or in addition to, if you're using a relisting program that's going to have a good inventory control management. That's usually going to be one where you're having all of your individual ones combined already, but it gives you a double check on those individual ones. And then, you know, having this tote scanner, for me, it was like assigning each tote these barcodes, and then also being able to have that be rooms in the house. Like, I'm giving this barcode means that stuff was sent to be washed or something like that. And the growth. I mean, when you buy 13 200-pound bulk boxes, you've grown too fast in a lot of ways. And I wasn't prepared for that growth, even though I thought I was. So you do have to step back and say, okay, I went too fast. I need to back up, slow down, and reassess.
Right. And that's
I know.
exactly why I thought of you.
I'm
Because
sorry.
I don't have an inventory system right now. And I am looking at your tote scan, and I'm just looking at it and looking at it and going, okay, first I got to do this, this, and this so that I can get some totes in
Yep.
place, right? And
Yep.
then I'll implement the tote scan.
Barbara said I bought those boxes because I'm crazy. No, I bought those boxes because I have an issue with control, and I have a really, really, really crazy woman, Barbara Babash, I'm looking at you, that even when I would say I'm not going to buy anymore, would still go on our group and tell me, hey, the bulk boxes are up. I'm like, that means I have to buy one. So
I know. I sit on my hands a lot. I really, really do. I don't
yeah.
go anywhere. Right now, I'm kind of like confined to the house for 2 weeks. So that would be my daughter there. She's
Hi, daughter. She must. Yes. No,
not
you're
showing
the
up.
enabler. Barbara's saying she's an enabler. No,
Oh,
Barbara's
she's
the
an enabler.
enabler.
Okay, Barbara, shame on you.
Um, Tell your daughter that she needs to go. I'm gonna go ahead and remove her. She needs
Yeah.
to go back in and whoa, what just happened? I
Oh, what
lost us.
happened?
Wait,
Okay.
what happened?
She was just trying to watch. I must have
Oh
sent the
yeah,
wrong
no,
link.
have her go to my YouTube for that to watch.
Okay. All right. Now I got to go find your YouTube. Hold on.
It is on. If you go to my link tree, which is linktr.ee
Mhm.
slash
Hungarian, right?
yep, black backslash hunter underscore Ryan underscore, and that's where you can. She'll actually look on my
See, I
on
always
there. Click on
end up,
YouTube.
I miss that last underscore.
Okay. Yeah, I know. I have underscores all over the place in all of my pages. So actually, let's all do that now. Everybody add in your closet names. And if you have a single place that you kind of hold those items, like I do here, where are we at? Hunter underscore Ryan. I know I'm a horrible singer, so sorry about that.
That's okay. So,
So there we go. Oops, it said an error happened. Are we still on?
let me get over here. Sorry, I was. Oh, where'd I go? I'm
Oh, you're
down
not
here in
on
the
there
corner
either.
somewhere.
Oh no.
You lost me.
Hold on, let me bring you back in. Add to the stream. Okay, there it is. B Babosh on Poshmark is a Barbara's. Okay, so now let me try this again. Hunter. Barbara said she could only see me. I'm surprised you could see me because I'm like down here hiding, and I have my moo on, so Barbara can't say I look like I'm naked again, especially because I'm in bed. So that would
Oh
be
yeah, you don't
really
have short
inappropriate.
sleeve shirt on.
Underscore. Okay, now are you gonna work this time? Okay, I keep getting an error when I try and put my link tree. So I'm just gonna forget trying to add mine now. It's basically I'll have it in the other stuff later on
It works
today.
for me.
It hates me. So well,
Hmm.
half of your face. Okay, so you're seeing half of my face, Barbara, because I'm actually having a bad pain day. So I'm in bed instead of able to sit up. I got a private chat here, but I can't see it. So if you sent me a private chat, anyone, I can't see it. Was that maybe you in the beginning, Terry?
No, that would be my daughter. She says, I'm not on Wi-Fi. Oh, I just sent her I sent her your link tree and said, go here, go to her YouTube link.
Yeah.
She
Well,
hasn't answered
we're
me back.
showing that we have two viewers. We know Barbara's one, so she may be the other one. And the way your camera's angled, Terry, we can only see like the top of your head. There you go. See? So now you've got both of
I am
us.
sitting in my nice comfy chair. I got my pillow back here.
Yeah.
Kind of like you in bed.
We're
Got my
being
phone in one
comfy.
hand.
We're being comfy today, guys. So y'all
Yes,
just have
we
to
are.
relax with our parts of heads. Oh,
There
my dog's
goes
now looking
Sammy.
around for where the dog is from.
Sammy, sweetie.
My dog's looking at my computer monitor, thinking that it's going to be something there.
Yeah. Did you
But
get
okay,
my?
he's fine. We're fine. Okay, so we kind of went into like how there's things that you make trial and error. You're not going to be able to just go, here's where I'm going, and always go straight directly there. And kind of touched on serendipity. But a, a big thing for me in my growth in business studies and just my weirdness as it is, um, even before I started school, I was very interested in Henry Ford. And part of what we were doing in my family business, just in time manufacturing, we were selling a process control system where every step of a manufacturing process had a monitor and a barcode scanner. And as items were brought in to each individual section, it would be that bin would be scanned. So now not only is that person going to start the tutorial that's showing up in pictures on their monitor of the steps that they need to do to put that together, it's also giving management real-time shop floor information on all of these parts that make up this much of the item have been used. So now I'm also being able to kick into my inventory people to let them know, hey, we're down to less than 600 of this screw. We need to send an order. So it could either automatically generate an order or let the inventory person know, hey, you need to order. It can help you as far as your time and motion studies, that's definitely something that's very big when you're looking at innovation, is being able to look at how much time does it take to create this process. And that's even really important, and that's something that I've been using as well in setting up my system again. And that's a time and motion study. Did you ever see the movie Cheaper by the Dozen?
Yes.
Okay, that's actually the true story of time and motion studies. And Barbara said the best inventory system she's ever seen is at Target. And they actually use that same system where I forgot the name of the original one, but it's basically if a customer buys a thing of shampoo, that can actually trigger at the register a new shipment to that store. That Target store, has at this amount, it takes 2 weeks for us to get the product when we send the order. For us to have enough stock to last for 2 weeks after we sell, we need to be making our new order when we are at this many of these items. So I'm assuming that's what
I'm
you're
going to
talking
disappear
about.
here for a second. My
Okay.
husband's sticking a laptop stand underneath me. Underneath there. Oh, almost lost my laptop. There we go.
Okay. Now we can see you more.
That's a little crooked because of the cat.
Yeah, I'm
Sorry,
crooked
Callie.
because apparently the monitor is here and you guys are over here for me to see. But okay, so part of that process is for us as resellers, a big thing we need to look at is, okay, what's the fastest way to do that? And a lot of people use what they call bulk or no words. Um, Dang it, now I forgot the word I was searching for. Um, it's like a bundle. Oh, it starts with a B. Oh my god,
Hold on one
I hate
second.
when my brain stops working like
An
this.
inventory system that starts with a B.
Well, no, it's not inventory system. It's
Oh, sorry.
a batch processing.
Oh, batch processing. Never mind.
Yeah. So with
My husband used to be an inventory manager.
oh, okay. So he would probably be really good in these lessons too. With batch processing, we bring it in as resellers as batch scheduling. So it's the same thing whether it's manufacturing or reselling an item that we already have. In that you're saying you're taking all of this step you're going to complete in this many hours and then you'll move on to a different process. And for a lot of things, if you look at your time in motion, which is literally timing yourself for each thing you do, a lot of people do this with listing, like how long it takes them to do a listing. They'll actually time themselves. How long does it take me to do an actual listing? Well, when you do that, you're doing a time and motion study. So if you went through a process of, okay, I'm going to do one item from start to finish of my process, and I'm going to time how long it takes me to do that item all the way through. Then you can break it down into how long did it how long would it take me if I do 3 items that I batch process. So batch schedule. So all 3 items I'm going to do review them, make sure there's no stains, do any spot treatment, anything that's pre photographing. I'm going to do all 3 of those at that time. Then I'm going to do all 3 of their photographs right together. Then I'm going to list all 3 of them. I'm going to do all of my lookups, my research on them at the same. So you're batching up each part of the job of reselling. And then you look and you see, okay, it takes me less time if I do them in batches rather than do one item all the way through the process or one item. So most of the time you are going to see batch processing or batch scheduling is going to reduce the time it takes you to complete a process. Barbara says Target scores cashiers on how long it takes to scan something. Each item has to be a certain time that it should take. Yeah. So another example of time and motion study, they've looked at the optimum time that it should take for a cashier to ring in items so that the line doesn't get too long, so they don't have to add another register opening because you get more than 3 people on the line. Then you want to open another register because that reduces your chance of losing sales because somebody sees your long ass line and they only wanted one thing, so they're like, yeah, forget it, I'll get it later, and leave the store. So you lose the impulse purchases too that person would have made at that time. We're kind of like going, it's not one to the other. It's like it's a very up and down kind of situation. So you can do batch processing and it's really great and it's going to help you. But then we reach the area that we have diminishing returns. So that's more kind of an accounting supply and demand thing, but it can also be used when we're talking about batch scheduling or batch processing, in that, like for me, I build huge bottlenecks in my process at I took the picture, now I'm putting it into inventory part. They'll just sit in piles. And I know a lot of resellers, that's usually one of the first things that they talk about being their bottleneck as well, is that getting it from the piles into the actual inventory bins, in their bag, in their bin, assigned and all of that. So I think for a lot of us, it's because we're batch processing past our um what's the I hate this so much. I'm so sorry, guys. We're
Okay.
batch processing above that line that begins giving us diminishing returns. And that means, like, maybe if I batch process 25 things, in one day I can batch process 25 things, actually get them completely through the process and into my bins, then that's my optimum for batch processing. If I do 30 things in a day and I'm ending up with 5 or 6 things that are getting left in the bin, and I'll put them away tomorrow when I do my next round, you're slowly starting to see those piles reappear because you're above your optimization of your batch scheduling. So, what about you, Terry?
Like I said, I really don't have an inventory system right now because I only have a few pieces of clothing, but the rest is jewelry. And I do know where every little piece is.
That's very good. That can be part of the
I have
benefit
a
as well.
really tall jewelry chest. So I've got certain things in each drawer. And there's like 10 drawers in it. And it's like, yep, know where it's at.
Yeah, and so
And just
that's something that
pull it right out.
and that's something that's good for you based on your physical abilities. You're not really looking at expanding more into clothes, right? You're kind of wanting to stay with
No,
those.
I have a ton of clothes here I have to do. It's just I also have a ton of jewelry, and jewelry seems to be easier. I bought this huge, actually 2 of them.
Barbara's saying that she only does 5 at a time, and she does a lot of jewelry too.
I think I'm
So
gonna do like 10, Barbara. That's my goal I'm gonna shoot for.
okay,
Um, but I bought this huge, closet that has a cover over it that zips down. I bought
okay,
2 of them. And the reason I bought the ones with the covers is because, you okay?
yeah, it fell off the lap stand.
Okay.
Sorry, yeah, sorry.
It's
Back
just like the
to
look on your face was like priceless. But I bought these 2 huge closets or wardrobes or whatever. So they have the biggest one has 2 places for hanging clothes. I really didn't want to hang any clothes. I want to be able to um, get them into their little areas. But what I need to do is I need to find the right size box or basket or something to put in there so that when I start on the clothes, then I can just, put them in their little thing, put their little inventory sticker on them and stick them in whatever bin, which I'm
right.
gonna use the tote scan like what you have. So that's my clothing. I do have a couple coats, so I'll probably hang those. So the hanger parts will come in good for those because they have been dry cleaned. So and they're the is it Sherpa wool? The really,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I have 2 of those, and I have a vintage raincoat that still has the tags on it.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I get a lot of vintage stuff with tags on it still,
Yeah.
which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so as you grow, so you're already getting an idea based on my trial and error
Hmm.
of how you want to start your plan. And that's part of serendipity right there is had we never, I don't even know how we met and ended. Oh, I think it was like a new reseller group or something.
Yeah,
Jeanette,
it was in one of the groups, and you posted something about,
it
hey,
was
do you want to
Jeanette
start a chat?
actually. It was Jeanette that
It was
wanted to
Jeanette.
start a
Okay.
group. And I've had a group with Barbara and Amber for a while that we kind of met through um, a, a listing challenge that Becky Park did. So we've had this a group for a while. I guess it was last summer that we started our group. So when Jeanette was saying, "Hey, would people like to be in a group?" and I was like, "Well, I can help you set that up because I already have a group, and this is what we did." And so I kind of set up this is the group that we're in now. That Terry was, I can't remember if you were one of the ones that I kind of basically was just like waiting for people to ask for the link. And then at one point it was like, okay, well, all these people said that they were interested on the,
Yeah, you just started putting,
yeah,
somebody
I just
started
started
putting this
putting
in.
everybody in that had said they wanted to be in. And then some people, I guess because a lot of non reseller chat was going out, they were like, why am I in here? I'm like, well, you asked to be in a group. So
That happens in a group, though.
yeah, so I mean, we removed down a bunch, and now I think
Yeah,
we're like 10 or 11 maybe of us instead of 60,
yeah.
which it makes it a lot easier to use. And that's another point of diminishing returns is if you have 50 people in your little group, you'll have people take over that are the talkers, like, me. that,
Me,
yeah, that kind of,
Shelley,
yeah.
Jeanette.
We kind of take over the group, and then other people might feel intimidated and not really want to step up because
Yeah.
we're just more I don't want to say aggressive, but we're more like, yeah, we'll tell you our stupid ideas even if they're stupid ideas.
Well,
um
Shelley and I can tell you, Shelley and I want to learn.
yeah.
And
And
you and Jeanette seem to have been doing this for some time, where Shelley and I are fairly new to it, at least fairly new to getting more listings up
right.
and actually making some money. Because I did start last November as well, but I didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, it shows that I actually opened my account like in June of when they came here, 2019, but I didn't do anything with it until last November.
Yeah, and that's where that serendipity lays, is that had the original starter, which I think was Amber, in my group with Becky Park, is she set up a group, they added me when I didn't even know that it was being started. So now I've got this group that have been, amazing helps for me. And because of that group, then I meet another group of women. They're wanting to have a group, and you just think about all the steps it took for us to get to this point. And that's where that that idea of there is serendipity, there is luck and chance and fate and all of those other euphemisms for not an intended outcome
Hmm.
that lead us to the paths that we find and lead us to the possibilities of solving problems, of making the most of opportunities, like actually looking around and being open to, hey, here's somebody that's doing YouTube videos about reselling, and this was like for me about reselling. So I'm going to watch this person's. Well, that person had comments from somebody else that I like their ideas. So I'm going to go look at that person's website. And so, like, for me, that's how I like to do stuff, is I like to gather knowledge about people that have already put into processes. And like my original system, which I think it would have been fine had the other stuff not gone into my system, because it's not that far off from what I'm doing. I'm just doing it with ToteScan now. Um, but because of those things happening, I've had to adjust what I'm doing, and that makes me more in tune to think about all those videos I watch and how those people had their stuff set up. Well, that cut out 20 or 30 trial and errors that I can work
Mhm.
through. So, I may be on option 3 of how I'm doing my inventory, but it was already really could have been at option 13 because I was looking at other people's positive and negatives that they did,
Yeah, I've watched some of those other YouTube videos on how they did their inventory, and I'm going, Holly already tried that. All right, bye-bye.
But I mean, just because I tried something and it didn't work for me
Yeah, but
doesn't mean
you explained why it didn't work, and it makes
right.
sense.
Yeah.
It's one thing to come in and say, yeah, I did this and it didn't work for me, but it's a totally
Right.
another thing when you come in and say, this is what I did, and this is why it didn't work.
Yeah. True.
So,
Very true. Yeah, but that can also be your answer to when you watch someone else that's like, okay, this is what I did. This is how it didn't work for me. This is why I'm changing it. Well, the things that didn't work for them aren't really something that fits your plan or your system, so maybe you can use that way that they had done it. If that sounds like, hey, this sounds like it would be conducive to what I am doing, the problems that that person found don't really relate to me. So cool. Now I can look at this and maybe look a couple steps ahead and say, okay, where did this start going wrong for them? Does that is that something that actually relates to me, or is it not? So
yeah,
that's really good about going in and looking out at what's already been done. You don't need to reinvent the
the
mouse
wheel.
trap, as the guy was
The,
talking about in the lesson.
the mouse trap. That's cute.
Yeah, build a better mouse trap.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think what was the next part of it. Oh, okay. So like one of the other things that's where my Fordism kind of came out is they were talking about, oh, now my brain's going for a
Which
fart.
do you remember which chapter? I do
It
have
was
it
just
open on
part
my
of
phone.
that last lesson. Um it was mainly in the looking at how things are done and making your processes from that, kind of basically all the stuff that we've been talking about, um, as far as it comes into learning from others and using those things that we've learned to make a step forward, like using the combination of ideas that's already out there.
Making
Well,
our own luck.
yeah, kind of under making your own luck.
Okay.
It's the one where I if you look on the comments, it's the one where I wrote like 2 long books about Fordism. Um, but one of the things that I found interesting in this, as well as, my lifetime of just in time, is that these ideas that were kind of written about by Henry Ford in his book Today and Tomorrow, um, in 1928, this is the same kind of thing. Well, why isn't Fordism really a well-known manufacturing ideology like time and motion and stuff like that? And a lot of it is because at the time, the cancel culture of that era, Henry Ford was not a unionist. He was a union breaker. He did not want the union coming into Ford plants. He felt that he, provided a fair and equitable process. There's areas definitely where you can say, no, Ford, you were being an asshole at this point. But the fact is that at the end of the day, he wanted to keep control of his factories and control of his processes, that if and when unions end up coming in, break down a lot of those processes, because now we've got these required things that the union wants to have control of instead of the manufacturing business owner being able to have control. Well, around that time, one of the Ford plants in Ruby Ridge was having union guys try and come in and make a name for themselves. There was one gentleman in particular that really basically was using Henry Ford as a way to, or the Ford factories as a way to try and move himself up the rung within the unions. So he set up um, a protest that was going to happen at the Ruby Ridge factory, and the wives and the kids and were all there. It was like a family event. Let's have all these people. Well, the guy that instigated this protest, he drives up, gets everybody riled up, and then as soon as the Pinkertons, which if you know anything about history, Pinkerton Detective Agency was kind of like private police for hire. And we lost Barbara. Damn, I'm doing too much history, I guess.
Oh no, we lost her. Maybe she
We
just lost
even
her.
bored Barbara.
Maybe
But
she just lost her link.
yeah, we can hope. But with the Pinkertons coming in and basically smashing everything up, it became known as the Ruby Ridge Massacre,
Right.
which that greatly affected Henry Ford's chances of continuing as being considered a leader and an innovator. They couldn't take away, the assembly line, conveyor belt system, but pretty much everything else that he had been trying to do was pretty much canceled because of Pinkerton, like, actually killing people at the Ruby Ridge protest. And I
Right.
mean, for me, I can look at it from the side of also the guy that got these people freaking out on him and everything. Their main goal was to move up the line in the unions. It wasn't about actually giving any concerns to what these workers were going through or not. It was another greed manipulation thing. So we need to think about that too, in that when you look back, don't repeat the mistakes of others. We need to learn from Ford that you can have these great ideas, but if you don't fit within the social norms that are trying to take over, it could end up killing your innovation. And unfortunately, I think right now, the wokeism is actually a huge hindrance to innovation, because people are afraid that they're spending more time thinking about how an idea could offend someone versus how the idea can help propel us. And I mean, there's actually talk now that, are we going into a new dark ages where people are afraid of sharing ideas and philosophies and innovations and all of that, because are they going to offend the wrong group and therefore shut them down completely? So instead of making innovations, we're just going to give in to whichever group is screaming the loudest at the time.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that we really need to be cognizant of and think about. Do we want to allow niceties of civilization to keep us from moving forward? Because sometimes you got to deal with assholes. I'm an asshole. I admit it openly. I'm a butthead. And I know.
Everybody can be. So
Yeah, everybody can have their own moments of
everybody has a
unenlightenment.
moments. Nobody's perfect. That's what I've always said my entire
Exactly.
life. No one in this world is perfect. We are all our own individuals with our own minds
Yeah.
and our own way of thinking. So,
Yeah. And
yeah.
that's what we have to be more concerned about than trying to figure out how we can actually do something that's not going to offend anyone. One of my favorite quotes of all time is attributed to Eleanor Roosevelt, and it's do what you feel in your heart to be right, um, because you're going to be criticized anyway.
Hmm.
So she literally said, do what you think's right, because somebody somewhere is going to find a problem with it. Now, I have to sidetrack because Wendy has found out about, holy shit, my Brahmin bag that I was trying to find out about.
Oh,
And
380. Good.
so it originally retailed for 380. It is the Jessica style in black Tuscan. Thank you so much, Wendy. You rock so much. And see, here's another example of exactly what we're talking about.
Hmm.
Serendipity, and the use of the internet. We as resellers are using the internet not just for selling our goods, we're also researching. And, then we have these groups that we form that are the specialists. Like, we're having to try and be that jack of all trades, having multiple different categories that we're getting stuff to sell, because that increases our ability of having continual sales, is to cover more than just one category. But then there's other people that decide to pull back and just specialize in one category. So finding out what fits best for you, a lot of times this will come from joining these different specialization groups. And in this case, it was a Brahmin group. Wendy enjoys buying and reselling Brahmins, so she's already a member of a couple of those groups. I have this Brahmin bag that I cannot find anywhere to save my life. And I just posted, hey, does anybody know this? Wendy saw it, said, I'm going to repost it for you in a couple groups that I'm in. And now she's coming back the next day. Here's the information you need us to know.
Yeah.
Well, how many steps of chances for us to become friends, of us to, do things together, so that she's following me, so that when she sees me posting a question, she's in the group that I need information from. So that's that part where you need to be open to all the places that information and growth can come from, and not be, well, I don't like that person's politics, so I'm shutting them down. They don't exist anymore. Well, don't talk about politics with that person. If you don't like what they support and what they stand for, or it's just not something that you want to go into, then don't have that be part of your conversation. When you're talking about reselling, talk about reselling and the things that relate to that, and don't go into areas that shut you down from being open. So set up things for you and how you run your life that are going to allow you to be open, even to people that you might not agree with based on external factors, like in this case, woke or unwoke, whatever it is. You know,
Hmm.
our politics don't have to be brought into reselling. So canceling each other, or anything, canceling each other because someone said something that somebody didn't like, closes down innovation. It puts us back in that situation where people are now asking, are we headed for another dark ages? So, we have to think about that and try and figure out ways that we can be kind, considerate, loving, and one human family without that having to control every single thing that can allow you to learn. Because if you don't keep learning, you don't grow, and we descend into chaos,
Yeah.
So that's my little statement on that. But that's why I think in a lot of ways that kind of set us back, because if you think about it, Ford was trying to teach us about just in time technologies and about these same lessons that we're taking now in 2021. We're taking a course that's considered new and innovative ideas, but it's literally based on the same things Henry Ford was trying to teach people in 1928 that
It's
didn't
like
get.
everything gets recycled.
Yeah, and it's why was it lost to begin with, and a
Yeah.
lot of why Fordism was lost in the 20s and 30s is because of that issue with unionization, and Ford was an anti-unionist. That created the massacre at Ruby Ridge, which then put him in a situation where he was still able to maintain economically because he had diversified enough, and he was like the best car to go to kind of thing. And World War II came about, and Ford plants were used a lot for that, so that kind of brought them through. But had World War II not have happened, could Ford have been completely shut down because of Ruby Ridge?
Yeah.
We don't know. And so we have to try and figure out ways to find those moments of truth without shutting the door on truths that we may not like, you know. So the original dark ages, the church didn't want people to have knowledge because you can't
Hmm.
control people if they are having ideas and thoughts and wanting to grow and learn. So, the church supported making people ignorant. Don't let people learn how to read and write. That's the best way to
Hmm.
control them. So instead of trying to control people based on our ideologies, we need to separate that from our businesses and, you know, and our innovation. So that's my little soapbox on that. But we need to be open to each other. We need to be global learners, you know.
Hmm.
So, and don't shut the door on an idea that may take us, it took till the 1980s for Fordism to become just, and also based on just in time manufacturing processes to get us ISO 9000. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, I used to work with it.
Okay, well, that actually came from Henry Ford, just in time, just in time, those time and motion studies. So all of these things that have been happening since the 1920s now have us at ISO 9001. I think we're at now
Yeah, I
by
think
this
so.
time.
I don't really
So,
keep up with it anymore since I'm not working.
but you never know, because that information, those things that I studied, back in the dark ages when I was in college and before college when my family was doing just in time technologies with Canon computers, having those little bits, it's stuff that I'm using now. Like I need to figure out a block scheduling that works for me because I know it's the fastest way to get through,
Mhm.
but I also hurt myself because it's like, okay, today I feel good. Let me take 150 pictures of jeans. And then the
Mhm.
next 2 days I can't walk, or stand up or whatever. So finding that
It
time
it
and motion study that what's
it's
going to work.
kind of hard though for you and I because we have a lot of things wrong with us, so we never know how we're going to feel in the morning when we go
Right.
to bed at night. So we think that we're super women and we're like, boom, 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 let's get this all done today while we're feeling good. And
Yeah.
then the next day we're like,
Yeah, exactly.
I
But
can't move.
yeah, exactly. And that is an added variable that we have that some don't. But I've noticed reselling community has a lot of people with physical disabilities.
Mhm.
And so that's somewhere that we can also learn from each other on, like figuring out blocking based on, okay, this person has similar disabilities to me. How do they work making sure that they have enough photos done in between I feel good and I'm going to be in bed, don't bother me, days so that you have something to pull you through that you can still work on so you're not feeling like a failure. That's a big part too is you have these lofty ideas of all the stuff you want to complete. Well, when you have a disability, be it physical, mental, whatever, even financially, those kinds of things are also barriers to you moving forward and figuring out ways that you can address your barrier without shutting down, and finding what works for you. And a lot of that is looking at what what are other outside influences that I can use to help me do something positive there.
Yeah.
So that was fun. I was very, I very much was happy with these lessons. We have one more week of Unleash Your Potential. So
Mhm.
you get to look and tell us what's the week coming. What are our lessons coming? I believe it's Enterprise.
I believe you're right. Let's see here. Come on. Week 4. Come on.
Yes. It should
Let
be
it
in,
go.
Enterprise,
Here we
which
go.
is
Yeah.
basically, yeah, they define.
Turning your ideas into reality.
Right. And so that at the beginning of the course, they identified their um, definition of enterprise is actually taking these innovations or ideas and actually following through and implementing them. Because you can't just think of a great idea, you need to be able to act. You go through the process. We came up with ways to probably fix that original idea, problem, issue, whatever it was. And so now we need to figure out how are we going to actually implement our enterprise, our solutions, our plans, those kinds of things. So I think that'll be very interesting, especially as we think about how we're using this in our reseller sense. So your thing is that you're looking at implementing a have an actual inventory system. So
Right.
now you've got to start looking at, okay, what am I going to do? What's the most important part for you with building your inventory system?
Getting the boxes that fit in the holes.
Which holes?
The holes in my 2 big closets that I bought.
Oh, okay. So you're looking at, you're going to, so now we break that down. Going back to week one, building, making the plan.
Yeah.
So you know that you've bought this solution, which is the closet setup, and it has certain holes for certain things. So
Mhm.
you have a confinement of your
Right.
possibilities based on those shapes. So you need to like if then or what's dependent on what. So your size of your box is dependent on the size of the holes. A cat just dropped off your head, it looked like. He jumped behind you, and
Yes.
the way that your hair is
That
covered
was
in the
that was
one thing,
Opie, and
it looked
we
like he jumped off your
we have sort of an open concept. So see, we
head.
have like a little half wall
Yeah,
here
the
going into
cat attack.
there he is.
Yeah. But it was just funny because your hair is in perfect alignment with the thing that he just jumped off of. So
Yeah,
it looked like the cat jumped off your head.
yeah, no, he
That was
jumped
pretty
off the
funny.
back of the chair here. So
Oh, it's the chair. Okay. But
my recliner.
now I'm like trying to remember where was I at?
But we were
Okay,
talking about
so
my boxes.
right. So you have limitations already in place. So that's something that you
Excuse me.
can't change, or can you? You know, that's the other thing. Keep in mind is that are you sure there's not a way to change it up? Like, are you able to cut any board so it opens it
It's
wider
it's
without
not
messing up?
board, it's cloth. It's not
Okay.
even cloth. It's like
So
plastic
like
cloth.
it's like the shoe holder kind of things.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So that does limit you. So now
So
that's
Ed
one
put it all
question.
together for me.
Yeah, so that's one question that we've answered now. Can it be adapted? No. So you have to fit within these confines. So your list of stuff is going to be okay. I've got these measurements. These are the measurements that I have to use because I cannot adapt them. So
Yeah,
now,
and I mean the box is short enough so that I can flip through
right.
the um the bags.
Yeah. So you want to do your measurements, think about how much room you need to actually be able to see in. If the box is over a certain size, like for okay, so one of the things I did was for me looking at the way people were doing like banker boxes size things or like the
Mhm.
little pop-up fabrics. I'm like, you can only fit like 10 things in that. You know, to when I was looking at how I want to do my bends,
Mhm.
I chose to go with bigger bends. I'm like, I can put more stuff in the same amount of space if I use a bigger bend than if I use these little bends that everybody else is using.
Right.
So for me, that was like, okay, that's a no brainer. I don't know why no one's using the bigger ones. Well, now I do. The reason why other people are using smaller ones is, yeah, I can stack. I can put 150 skirts in one bin,
Mhm.
but that's 150
These
skirts worth of
skirts.
weight.
Yeah.
So, you know, I also have to include that in my setup is that I actually got one of the little carts that you can buy, you know, like um, they use them industrial, you know, to like carry stuff between stations or
Oh,
whatever.
yeah.
So I got one of those, and I got one that was tall enough that if I have to slide a bin down to look in it, I'm only having to go down this far and then go back up, you know, or my son will be doing that stuff usually. But if I need to pull something down or put it up, I can do so without hurting myself. You know, I'll be
Right.
able to use a ladder and put this up or take it down. But also trying to keep in mind top shelves put light stuff, you know, that maybe is using smaller bins. So things that I only have a couple of, like scarves or something like that, I can now use the smaller bins everybody else uses because I don't have as many of those things and they're lighter. So those can go up higher, my heavier stuff at the bottom. So that's all some those kinds of things of building your process, you know, like
Mhm.
what's the stuff that you can run into. So I'm thinking, why isn't everyone using the really big bin? You can fit so much more stuff in it. Well, now I know why everyone's not using the really big bin. But for me, it still is logical for me to use the bigger bins because I need to have more space to put stuff because I grew too fast. And so I've got a lot of stuff that I
Yeah.
need to get into bins. So I do need more storage space than, the person that's going out once a week, getting 10 to 20 things that they're going to list that week. And, you're just going through 10, 20 things. You're not trying to process 5,000, literally.
Yeah.
So, and
No,
that,
I probably have like, I don't know, maybe 150 or so pieces of clothing to do.
yeah. So,
So, and mine need to, you got to remember, because I'm using this closet thing that's made of plastic cloth stuff,
yeah, you don't want to get
mine
that.
have to be light,
Mhm.
right? So I can't like stuff them full and can't be, 150 skirts in it. It would
Exactly.
all come tumbling down.
Yes, yes,
And
it
then I
would.
have shoes, so I have to leave some of them open because I have shoes that are in boxes, shoes that are not in boxes,
Yeah.
you know.
And that's another
There's this.
innovation thing is the reason why I decided to get the dust bags is
Mhm.
I have bins upon bins of shoes and purses, and as I was dividing them out into the different tubs for the different styles, it's like, oh man, I'm just kind of throwing this stuff all together. The stuff that was in ready to go shape now has smudges on it or whatever. So how can I have my stuff together but not getting messed up in the process? And it's like, well, if I had shoe bags for everything, and I was like, well, why don't I have shoe bags for everything? That's a good idea because then I've got advertising in the person's closet too.
Mhm.
And, instead of everybody talks about their little free with purchase things, instead of me going to the dollar store and
Yeah.
spending $500 on
And there's
one,
a lot of people who don't like those, like, I got one thing where somebody sent me like 5 or 6 stickers. It's like,
yeah,
they're sitting on my desk still,
yeah,
and that was months ago.
yeah. So, yeah, it's nice and all
Think
that for
about the
people.
car industry. When you buy a
Yeah,
car, what do they do? What do they do? Not only do they put that plastic license plate tag around your license plate that
yeah,
has their name on it,
yeah.
but they also drill right through your trunk and put a freaking emblem on it. And
Well,
you're driving around advertising for them.
yeah, I don't think they do the drill into the car ones as much anymore. I think now they're more like magnets or something on there just because,
I made them take it off one of my new
yeah,
cars one time
because,
and told them to fill the holes. They were
yeah,
they were highly upset. I said, I'm not paying all this
right.
money to advertise for you. Take it off.
Exactly. Exactly. And I always get my little US Army um frame for my
Right.
things or license plates. We can't even speak right now. Dang, we lost everybody again. We lost Wendy too.
Oh, well.
But I think this was good. I'm definitely going to take my lesson for next week because it was nice that we did kind of stay on track
Yeah.
today and kind of covered everything in the lesson. But I wanted us to start thinking about what would be the next course that we should think about. The
Yeah.
Unleash Your Potential, they actually have a whole program on Future Learn.
Mhm.
Um, and that's what I just kind of looked at that and I found things closest to, you're opening your creative mind since that was kind of like what you said. Um, so let's like think about that. Do we want it to be specifically business related? Or would we want something more about our business, but from the other side? Like I already did one. It's fashion sustainability. Like something that actually relates to the fashion industry, items that we sell, things like that. that we could do lessons to help us become more subject area jack of all trades.
Yes, because let me tell you something. I'm on, I don't know how many Facebook Poshmark Canada groups, and I'm going, what is that? And I have to go look it up. Like, I don't know this brand. Should I be looking for this brand?
Yeah. Yeah,
And
definitely. Brands is something very much. And that's something that maybe we can even do instead of future learn. I don't know if you're interested in investing in something. I just bought Leslie from a reseller passion. I just bought her 2 ebooks. One is using Pinterest in your marketing, and
Mhm.
like that's something that I'm interested in looking at. And then the other one, because I got the 2 pack, and then the other one is called the Reseller Survival Guide. So I've just gotten both of those ebooks from Leslie, if you guys are interested. And I believe she's working on one now for, I forgot who the new one's for. Um, and I think Alicia is doing one on TikTok, but I'm not interested in doing TikTok. That's
I'm not
not
either. And,
interesting at all.
that to me is for the younger crowd.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, I
Well,
totally get that. I
I
mean,
know
I'm
my
trying
daughter
to.
does TikTok, so it's like she did this
Yeah.
really cool went back when COVID first happened and they were dropping everything. She's a photographer. So
Yeah.
she did one with cameras with a bunch of her friends and stuff.
Yeah.
It was really quite interesting. So
Yeah. And I don't even really do reels either. I'd rather just, I talk too much for that, short, sweet stuff. Um,
yeah.
and so I'll do lives, but I don't really do reels or TikTok or any of that. So that's not something that I'm going to run out and get. I will probably still read about it. I might not do it just because of that, opening yourself up to the opportunities. So
Right.
even though I'm not interested in it, that is something that's being used in the industry I'm in. So I should be at least somewhat literate about what it is, what it's doing, and if I don't want to make content for it, at least figuring out how to use the content that's being made to help me in my business, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Like I have a friend who is uh mid 40s or so, and she uses TikTok. And I mean, she has a consignment store here in town. And Monica is fabulous at these TikTok videos. And I'm always commenting on them
mm-hmm.
because she does a really good job. And like she gets out on the sidewalk and pretends like she's singing and stuff to it, right? And,
Sorry, lost
and,
you again.
and dressed in some of the consignment clothes that she has, right?
Yeah,
So, like she's done that. She has chased girls down the street. I kid
being
you not.
models.
She has run them down in her heels.
Okay,
Say, would you
that's
come
kind of
and
scary.
model this for me?
Okay, yeah, yeah. That would probably not be a good thing to do, because that might lead to arrest and
I
like
know, but
names on certain lists that you don't
she's
want your name.
hilarious though. She is. She's
So
only done it once or twice, but it was the same girl. Like once she got to one girl, she was like, yeah, because she really liked the way that the girl photographed really well. So
yeah,
she paid her to do a
yeah,
couple
that's
of
great.
photography things. So
Yeah, that's really good. And I mean, even within the the being realistic about your growth. So like so many of the people that have like very making, 5 or more thousand a month, through their sales, they have people that are doing at least one or two parts of the process of being a reseller.
Right.
Be it the person listing or sharing or um,
Doing the
taking
photography.
photographs. Yeah, all of those things. Where when my friend Lori has talked about us getting someone to do that, I've been like really hesitant to do it. Not only because right now, I'm not having the income generation that I would be able to support someone else
Mm-hmm.
and still have money, to pay for even to reinvest into the business.
Yeah.
Um, so that's kind of been but then this situation where I've kind of shut everything down while I audit it has put me in a situation where I still need to have stuff getting listed and having stuff go in just because I want to, at this point, keep it on the higher end things are going in first. I I I don't want to. I don't know. It's kind of this conundrum of I know it'll be probably safer for me to just shut everything down and not have anything. But then on the other side, I'm like, yeah, but if I have a couple $100 coming in, at least it covers these costs that are associated with the business, whether I sell anything or not. Like
Yeah.
my electric bill is about $150 more than normal because I have three dehumidifiers and two air conditioners downstairs. Making
Yeah.
sure my stuff stays good. Those kinds of things. I still need to be able to have some income coming in to at least cover those costs. If it's
Yeah.
not, giving us like a real big reinvestment thing, because at this point we don't need to reinvest more.
Yeah.
We're very good
Where
for a
I'm
while.
limited to one spare bedroom, and so hence the reason I do a lot of jewelry,
Yeah,
and then have just X amount of clothes that I have
yeah,
to get up, and so
yeah. So that's all kind of like where we're at and why this class is really good for us for kind of reopening those ideas of, okay, I'm going to look outside of my boxes for
mhm,
solutions, and being able to have each other to talk about these lessons, and kind of it even grows that lesson more because now you're finding out someone else's paradigm for the same lesson you just learned, that's even above, like a different step that you hadn't gone yet when looking at the lesson. So
yeah.
I
Like
think all of that's really important.
I'm doing some YouTube videos on stuff that I'm going to list. Like I've got some unboxing of stuff that was just sitting around and I never opened it. Like I opened it up to
Yeah,
make sure their stuff was in there, right?
yeah.
Yeah, it was. Okay, that's as far as I went. And
Yeah,
so
I found a couple of those Shop Goodwill boxes too.
yes, and then, it's like, okay, so I did a couple of unboxing videos and then and stuff that I already took out of boxes, and I did a couple of those. I still have like three more to edit. But like I don't feel like I'm really getting anywhere on YouTube. I'm getting
Yeah.
views, but I'm not getting subscribers.
Yeah,
So,
I think I've been like two subscribers from 200 for like 2 or 3 weeks now. I don't know. But
yeah.
I'm not like a person that's out there hustling for it. I'm not saying, like we have been doing this regularly. So I do have one thing that's being regularly done Sundays at 7.
Mhm.
Um, but for the most part, most of my other stuff is like, okay, I feel good enough today. I'm going to go through these Shop Goodwill boxes. Let me go ahead and video them, or something like
Right.
that. But like for most of this week, when I've gotten in my Shop Goodwill, I kind of started a stream that I'm doing just on Instagram. So, and that's my mail call where I go down and handheld video of, me opening the boxes. So
Is that the one I caught you on? I couldn't, because I went to
probably,
YouTube looking
yeah,
for it because
yeah.
I got a phone call or something, so I had to stop watching.
No, it's fine. I just figured I started doing it the day I had like 12 boxes come on the same day. It's like,
Oh my
okay,
God.
let me do a video. So here's what I got in these 12 boxes. And I really like Shop Goodwill. I think I honestly prefer it over the mystery boxes because you're actually picking what is of interest to
Yeah.
you, and you have a little more control over the per item cost. A lot of times, it ends up being about the same.
Oh, you want to
Go
hear
ahead.
the funny thing about that?
What?
Is if you look hard enough, you can find London, Ontario's on there, and it's all in US dollars, and it's an hour away from me.
Oh, cool.
Not cool.
Not cool. Oh, because it's an hour. See, I have everything shipped.
Because it's in US dollars and not Canadian.
Oh,
Not cool.
okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Sorry.
Oh, no. But it's the only one that'll ship to me, yet it's in US dollars. I'm going, you little.
Sorry. Don't y'all have Goodwill in Canada?
We still have Goodwill in Canada. A lot in the Ontario area did shut down, like they had headquarters in Toronto. I believe there's still one office there, but a lot of the Goodwills in my area shut down.
Mm-hmm.
So there are 3 in London. There's the boutique, there's the Ben's, and then there's another one that I've never been to, and I haven't been to the boutique either. But when I found them online, I'm like, "Ooh, I can just order online." Oh, they're in US dollars. What the?
Mm-hmm. Probably because like the group that started it's
Yeah,
even though those things are considered all under the Goodwill umbrella, they're usually started by certain groups, and then stores come in under them, so they're basically having to send a commission to whichever office started it.
yeah. I
Like
think
with
ours is listed as like Ontario, Great Lakes, or something like that. I could
so,
find it if I went there. But then when I see the jewelry, like bulk jewelry going up and up and up and up, and I'm like,
yeah,
I'm not paying that.
yeah. But I
Yeah,
think we're going to start seeing it come down the more stuff that opens, because these prices have gone up this past year because resellers were basically stuck with our only way of getting inventory in large amounts was online, these mystery and bulk boxes or
yeah,
pallets and stuff like that. And so you couldn't just go to the bins and get, your 15 items that you would normally do in a week.
yeah,
So that's increased the cost of goods, which also increased our cost when we're listing. But then you have the people that had, enough bin stock to get through that year, and
yeah.
they were still listing, stuff $5, and it's like,
Oh,
well, I
we
got to
we
sell
were
it for
in and out of lockdown so much
yeah,
it would make your head spin.
yeah,
It was like, "Oh, come on." 'Cause, I mean, Ontario's huge, right? I mean, the province of Ontario is huge. There's bigger provinces, but it's huge to begin with. And Ford would lock down this part and that part and, like, all around you, and then boom, you're in lockdown too. It's
yeah.
yeah, it's like
I,
my daughter lives in Toronto, and she wasn't out of lockdown. She went in lockdown, I believe it was in October of last year and came out when did Toronto come out of, honey? Oh, he's playing a game with headphones on. When did Toronto come out of lockdown? When did we all come out of lockdown?
Last week.
Oh, wait a minute, wait a minute. We all came out of lockdown in February for 2 weeks. So my daughter got out of lockdown for 2 whole weeks,
and
and
they
then
got shut down.
bam, back in she went.
Yeah, that can be frustrating.
Yeah,
But those are the same things that we got to think about right now. Is that they're talking again about another shutdown of the US if because of the Delta variant or whatever. So
Yeah. I
if
was
you
reading
live
about
in an area that's already still shut down, then you're still not getting new stuff. And those online options for sourcing are going to keep going up and up and up because they know that we're the only source for these people to go. And
I know, and
but $17 an item cost of goods, and I
it's
don't even know what I'm getting is insane when I'm going to have a hard time selling it for $25, which will get me $20, which means that after I pay the fees from the 25 to 20,
Mhm.
now I've got to pay the cost of the good itself, 17, with the shipping. Now it's 18. So I have $2 left for taking pictures, opening, storing, like all the stuff that goes into storing. So I got to pay for a bag. I got to pay for the stickers,
And
I
your
got to pay for the
electricity bill.
space and the time, and so now you're basically losing money for the
Mhm.
majority of the stuff that you're buying. So, it's really important to start brainstorming those ideas of where else can you go besides online. A lot of people during it, they got tons and stuff of donated to them because people are at home, they're cleaning out their closets. They can't leave it at Goodwill because they're shut down. So people would say, hey, I'll come and clean your closet if you let me have your stuff you don't want. For
Yeah.
me, I maybe I could have done it, but it's just not something that's in my
I know I couldn't have done
personality
it.
to ask for stuff like
I
that.
can't either, so
Yeah. So, I mean,
plus I can't stand up straight to clean somebody's closet.
but
I bend over,
I
I'm done
mean,
with. That's
even
it, I'm done.
even just asking if I can have your stuff free. It's like, hey, you clean out your closet? Can I have your stuff? Because I'm reselling. And it's like, well, I don't know. To me, it doesn't fit my personality the way that I can do things. And that's part of our paradigms is, everybody's paradigm's different. I personally, not that person.
You know
But
what?
if I've had people say stuff to me and I'm like, I'll let Lori know because I know Lori, that worked for her. She's fine about going and cleaning people's stuff out. I mean, she's got a freaking Jeep she rebuilt because she pulled it out from under somebody's house after Irma, redid
Yeah,
the whole thing, and I brag about her all over the place because she drives around in her Jeep that she freaking rebuilt after Irma, and
good
she
for
pulled
her.
it out from someone's house. So,
I was on this free site here, and about 2 months ago, this woman did have some new clothing with tags. It wasn't really a brand that sells very well, and it was a free site.
yeah,
So I raised my hand and I said hi and told her I was a reseller.
yeah.
Got into a little war.
Yeah, because a lot of people that was the other thing I was going to bring up is like a lot of those free sites, um, and these are the ones that I belong to also. It was like, um, it was more about a free cycle is one of the ones that I was on. And it was like, that's one of the rules is that you can't ask for stuff for free on free cycle that you plan
Mhm.
on reselling.
Well, on this one, you could as long as you said you were reselling.
Okay.
And I did. And that woman's the one that she started a fight with me. And I was like, just because I live in this freaking expensive town doesn't mean that I can afford stuff. It's like
Right.
I put over $5,000 worth of vet bills on a credit card at
Yeah.
19.99% interest.
Yeah.
And she says, well, then I'll just assume you don't need my help anymore. And I'm like, what are you even talking about? It was
Yeah.
it was weird. I was like, all right, I'm done. I'm never
Yeah.
asking again. You
And I
know?
think that's the kind of feedback too that people have received from TikTok. Unlease just made some, Alicia and El Ducho, which is Denali. They both have had some nice clapback videos on TikTok about that. But that's another part of that cancel culture, creating a shutdown where there's an opportunity. So
Yeah,
opportunity is that there's people that want to get rid of stuff. There's people that need that stuff to be able to sell, to pay bills and stuff like that, or to fund their business that they can't bring product in because all of the places they source are shut down. And it's like, no, it's a negative. You're a reseller. You're the reason. You're the problem.
yeah. I figured she was a reseller because all the items were different sizes.
Yeah.
And she said they were all that she personally bought for herself. And I'm like, okay, I've gone up and down in weight, but I don't have a size small and a size 3XL. There's no way in my closet. No, it's just not happening.
Yeah.
In my personal closet, no way.
Yeah.
And, it's like, I know some of the people in this group, and I know who's reselling and I know who's not. And I've seen some of these clothes because she shut the thread down. There were other people on there who asked, and she just shut it down. And then she started putting them out one at a time. And then she says, I just want to be able to give away to at least one person in our community who's had a rough time so that they can wear a nice outfit.
Right. And that's fine. But see, that's fine. If that's your attitude, that, we have that when I worked.
But she didn't do that before she got into a fight with me.
Right. But that's the thing. If that's her way that she wants to appear to society around her, whether it's true or not,
Yeah.
let her do her and we can move on. We just know that, okay, that's shutting down an opportunity there, but that's their choice that they've shut down that opportunity, because you could have been a help to her in some way in the future.
I have so much stuff. You want to know something, Holly? A couple years ago, the year before COVID, so summer 2019, I had this huge garage sale, yard sale, whatever you want to call it. There was stuff in my yard. There was stuff I have a 4-car driveway, so it's concrete and everything. You can fit 4 cars, and it was all filled up. There was stuff inside the very end of my garage and everything. Stuff in my front yard. People would come up. Oh, I really like this. There's no tag on it. How much is it? It's free. Take it. What?
Yeah.
It's free. This is a free yard sale.
Yeah.
I gave away so much stuff to this community. I mean, you would not believe how much stuff I've given to this community. It just really, really hurt that this woman started a fight with me.
Yeah.
And then she just locked the thread. And I was like, okay, fine. You want to be that way? I'm deleting my comments, which then deletes your comments.
Yeah.
People had already seen, so I haven't been back to that site.
Yeah. But again, that's an opportunity that not just you, but her and the others that are on that thread have now had shut down. So that's where we need to, if you don't like somebody's politics, if you don't like their personality, all of that stuff you need to put to the side, because right now you need to think about this person as they relate to your business. We don't have to be friends to be colleagues.
Right.
It's great when you can be friends and colleagues. That's awesome. But don't shoot yourself in the foot because some outside influence. Be open to those opportunities.
I was giving stuff away for free and I didn't care who it went to.
Yeah.
And I was following the rules, and then she started not following the rules and not following the rules and and I was like,
yeah.
Really? So I wrote the admin, who actually is a friend of mine, And she says, I'm just going to let her be. I'm like, okay, then I'm leaving. See ya.
Yeah. And that's what you have to make as your choice of where you're going and what you're doing. And that's the whole thing of this lesson of looking at what are your opportunities, where are opportunities within opportunities, how do serendipitous meetings and being open to chance. Some people don't want to be open to chance, and you just have to understand that, okay, I've got to close off that path. I was open to it, but just because I'm closing it off with this person or with this group does not mean that you're going to shut it down with everyone. So
Yeah.
that's the
No,
hardest part, I
there's
think.
people in that group that I know personally.
Yeah.
So it's like the next time I go to give away something free, I'm just going to contact them all and say, hey, you interested in this?
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
and just, plus there's a couple other free groups in our area anyhow. So I don't care.
Yeah. So you figure it out. You leave open the possibilities that you have, the avenues of growth or whatever. We have a lot of people have been talking about Posh Fest.
Right.
And one of the big things is it's very expensive, but yet you still want to have that networking opportunity. So
Mm-hmm.
some people, instead of paying for the live lessons in person, instead they're paying for like the party the night before it starts, and then like maybe paying for the online um options so that you can still do the classes, but they're basically you're watching a video of it, so a live feed of it.
Yeah, my husband and I used to be involved in something like that. If you've ever
Yes.
heard of WordPress, we used to do some WordPress. Oh, I forget what they're called now, but we put on a couple for Toronto. So
Yeah, so that's an opportunity, is that you're still able to take part in the network building, which in a lot of cases that's the main goal for these conventions, is that networking, meeting these
Mhm.
people that you've become friends with, and you know collaborators in this crazy world of reselling. But you still want the information, you just want to pay $300. So you pay $40, you get the online access.
Yeah,
You can be the one sitting out at the pool watching the lesson on the computer while we're sitting in the classroom,
yeah.
kind of thing. So, but those are all situational things, and it's ways for us to be able to connect using different options that work for us. There's some people that being in the classroom or conference setting for these lessons, that right there kind of it doesn't even have if the doesn't even have to have to do with the price. It may just be there's a lot of people with anxiety disorders that they just can't be in a room with that many people without having any
You know
control.
what's so funny? I used to always hate going into things like that. And then I ended up being a trainer. And what I did was I made the learning fun.
Yeah.
Because for me, going into one of those was just so boring.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I'm more of a visual learner.
yeah.
So I started making everything that I was training visual.
Yeah, but
And
then you may be losing people that have different learning styles. But the thing that I was going to try and
but I was always open to training people however they needed to be trained.
right for
So
them
if
to hear.
somebody needed extra help, I would give them. I did actually. There was this one guy, he was from because I train both software and customer service agents. And he was from the Dominican, and he speaks French, and he speaks English, and
Creole.
he speaks Spanish. So he was my aha, I'm not going to let you go. And he just wasn't getting some of the stuff. And it was like, okay, just let me go talk to my boss. go talk to my boss. Will you authorize some overtime hours for me? Because I want to stay and help him.
Yeah.
And they did. And it was like, we don't want to lose this guy.
Right.
And he took a couple leaves of absence, but he's the only one in the history of the company that they ever kept taking back, because the history of the company was once you were gone, you were gone.
Yeah.
But I taught him so well.
Well, that's great.
I hope it was me that taught him so well.
Sorry, I don't want to forget this, which is why I keep going back to it. Okay, so for a lot of people, it's the cost is the barrier for Posh
Going to
Fest.
the yeah.
Yeah, but you still have the desire to learn. eBay is doing a free one, and it's called eBay Open, and it's under the eBay seller events. So that's something to think about. That's actually starting in August, and all of those classes are free. So, you can still get these kinds of lessons and growth and stuff like that. And keep building, just like we're using um the free Future Learn to take these classes. Terry's coughing, so she muted. um we're using free resources as well, and there are free resources. So don't ever think, well, I only have $25. There's no way that I can, $25 is what I have after I paid all my bills and everything else, and that's my, trying to get to next week money. And you can definitely come into reselling with $25 and turn it into a business. Go to Ben's, $25, like where I'm
Gold
at.
yard sales are happening
Yeah.
right now here. I don't know about there, but let me tell you something. I found a couple of actual real pearl necklaces at a yard sale.
Yeah.
Lady sold them to me for $2 each.
See, that's great. But flip the money, but there's also avenues of learning. I know a lot of people, like we're talking about purchasing Leslie from a Reseller's Passions ebooks that she has. I believe Quimby has like a couple of the spreadsheet things that she uses in her business that she also sells, I think on Etsy. But just because you don't have the money this second to buy those learning
And Etsy's
ideas,
really
there's
easy.
free options out there.
And Etsy's really reasonable, people. I've looked at some of this stuff. They are really, really reasonable, like $5 and $6 for some of these packages that Holly's talking about. So
Yeah. But a big one, I mean, there are people that they need free. And so there are resources out there right now. There's eBay is doing the eBay Open in August. We're using the free platform Future Learn. There's a lot of colleges. I may text you what
Harvard
they're.
University puts
Yeah.
on free courses,
Yep.
so
MIT. I mean, you can
MIT
go to
does as
most of
well.
them. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's stuff that we're going to be looking at going. So anyone that's interested in doing this with us as we continue to make a Resellers Inc. Learning Sundays, um, continue, put ideas of something that you might want to have us take a lesson on, and you'll join us. You can either join us just in chat or in the actual viewing part of the chat. I think I may start another night on Clubhouse to like the for the doing the work, maybe is like halfway through, like, okay, what did you actually do?
I
So
just
that might
finally
be
got
fun.
my invite to Clubhouse. I haven't gone in and
Oh,
done anything yet.
somebody had said that they wanted I have like 7 invites, I think. If anybody needs an invite to Clubhouse, let me know.
I'm pretty sure that's what it was an invite. One moment, please.
Yeah, so if anybody does need them, I think the last time I looked, I have 7 invitations that I can give you. Basically, you have to be friends on Facebook at least long enough for me to send you the invite. And I guess that's like, I had a couple random people that were friends on my Facebook, and I was like, why is this person on here? Why are you coming? And I realized that I'd forgotten to turn them off a friend after giving them the link, the invite. So there's a lot of free resources out there, guys. There's, other free lessons as well. If you have like your own little group where you live, and you want to do a watch party, like everybody come over to one person's house or go to a coffee shop or whatever it is, and you know use your virtual ticket to play the lesson there. I would check with Poshmark first to make sure it's okay if there's more than one person watching it. But, I know there's going to be some people that are going to be sitting around the pool at the resort, and they're going to be taking the lesson online through their laptop instead of sitting in the class with the rest of us, which I actually kind of wish I had done in a way, just because I know last year some of the courses that I had signed up for weren't really what I was expecting, and so I was like switching rooms to try and find lessons that were more of what I was searching for. So keep that stuff open. We've been on for almost 2 hours now, and I need to get off of here because I need to take
Me
my
too.
kids. And thank you guys, everybody that came and jumped in, even if it was for a couple minutes or so. Really appreciate it. For all the people that are going to watch in the future, come and join us. Let us know. Let me know in the um, comments, like things that you would be interested in us doing lessons on in the future, whether or not you want to just be in chat or if you want to join us on screen. Thank you guys so much from Reseller Inc., which is Terry, Jeanette, Shelly,
Angela, Alexa,
Angela, Alexa, and
somebody else.
I.
I can't remember.
Well,
Somebody who doesn't
to talk.
yeah, who doesn't talk.
Okay, I think that was one of the girls I know. But thank you guys all. You wanted to say something else?
I was just going to say, and if you're new and thinking about doing Poshmark or reselling on eBay or one of the other, like I know Holly does Macari, right, Holly, which is in the States. I'm in Canada, by the way. And so if you're thinking about one of those, hey, put that down in the comments as well.
Yeah.
And say that you want to know more information, because if we don't know, we'll find somebody who does.
Right. Yeah, definitely. And that's where I'm thinking, if we want to do Leslie's booklet, I think I definitely want to talk to her and make sure it's okay for us to do that. We're making sure we're not giving out her,
Yeah.
licensed information. We're just basically kind of talking about lessons we've learned, like we are with the Future Learn. We're not actually giving out the actual coursework. We're just kind of discussing how the coursework relates to us and our businesses. So I definitely will talk to Leslie to see if maybe she'll want to do it with us, kind of as Sundays we go do our lesson, and then she could come in with us Sundays and kind of answer questions that we may have had or something like that. So look at that. But for right now, just kind of think about what lessons you might want us to move into next. And next week, we have our last week for Unlease Your Potential, Innovation, and Enterprise. And then we'll be ready to pick another course to go forward. So thank you guys so much for watching, whether it's real time or later. And see you later. Bye.
Bye.